Musicians are superheroes, and they've proven that so many times. Have you ever wondered what they've done for their fans? Get ready, because here are the top 20 bands stopping shows to help their fans. 20. Guns N' Roses. Heavy metal isn't what Guns N' Roses plays. Their style of hard rock is fierce and more akin to punk or Metallica than heavy metal, especially when performed live. They are a musical sawed-off shotgun, full of strength but unpredictable in their aim. In a normal set, they can go from bad to excellent, sometimes even in the same song. Also, Guns N' Roses truly performs for the kids. Metal bands create fictional lives that are unrelated to the realities of adolescence. Although children have little in common with David Lee Roth, they may be envious of or revere him. Guns N' Roses are still young enough to recall their early years as members. At shows, it's not just punks in the audience trying to instigate fights. Occasionally, it's security. Even though Axl Rose is a loose cannon, he supported his fans during Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy Tour. Rose had the right idea when he witnessed a child getting scolded just for crowd surfing, even if he has a history of being a bit of a bully himself. Rose shouted in the middle of "You Could Be Mine" and called security to chastise them for not carrying out their duties correctly, asking, "What's wrong with you people down here? What? You're going to beat up this guy because he's having fun?" After this, the problem was resolved and things went well for the rest of the show. 19. Smashing Pumpkins. Smashing Pumpkins, a band that has been outspokenly against moshing and other ritualistic rock concert mayhem for years, were performing in Dublin, Ireland when a teenage fan was crushed and fatally injured in precisely that kind of brawl. There were no chairs on the main floor, and the occasion was more like a festival. Despite the presence of 110 security personnel, moshers rushed toward the stage and started trampling each other while Smashing Pumpkins were in the middle of their set. Bernadette O'Brien, 17, was so severely crushed when she became stuck in the pileup in front of the stage that she had a heart attack. Bernadette was brought to a hospital where on Sunday she was taken off life support and died. At one point, bassist Darcy Retzky announced, "There's a girl dying backstage. Do you care?" Billy Corgan, the singer, warned the audience that people were getting harmed. Bernadette tragically passed away at the concert on May 11, 1996. She was crushed close to the front of the stage at around 10 o'clock at night when excited fans pushed forward from a mosh pit, defying the band's warnings that people were getting wounded. Security personnel removed O'Brien over the barricade and brought her to a hospital where she passed away 2 days later. The band broke up the performance numerous times to quiet the audience, and the performance ultimately finished early. Considering that the band had already taken a public stand against moshing, they were devastated. The following day's Belfast event was cancelled, and Smashing Pumpkins tours featured fewer shows with open area pits that would have allowed mosh pits. 18. Pearl Jam. As the most well-known and enduring American rock and roll band of the early 1990s, Pearl Jam emerged from the sea of grungy alt-rockers that dotted the scene. As a group, Pearl Jam never signed with or was associated with an independent label, unlike many of their Seattle-based peers. However, founding members Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament were both alumni of Green River, one of the first major bands on Sub Pop, and they were unwaveringly sincere in an era known for irony. Eddie Vedder, the band's main singer, had a remarkable amount of charm and emotion that contributed to the authenticity of the group's arena rock movements. Not everyone has the ability to call out a bully in the crowd while maintaining the song's flow. Eddie Vedder noticed a fan in the crowd being extremely impolite to a woman in the midst of Pearl Jam's punky song Lukin. Without warning, Vedder abruptly stopped the music and yelled at the fan to get out of the throng. Vedder gave her credit for getting some shots in and inquired about her well-being. With ease, Vedder resumed the song and brought it to a close. 17. Stained. You shouldn't worry about sexual assault during a show, and Stained's Aaron Lewis had absolutely no time for it. American alternative metal group Stained was founded in Springfield, Massachusetts on November 24, 1995. After getting together through friends and spending a year and a half performing popular songs in small venues, Stained self-released their debut album, Tormented, in November 1996, claiming harsh Latin thrash metal as inspiration. Since just 4,000 copies of the record were sold upon release, it was hard to find until recently. In response to popular demand, the album has since been made available on the band's official website. Aaron confronted a rock festival goer who was making inappropriate advances toward a female crowd surfer during their performance. "Okay, listen up. That little girl is 15 years old and you are molesting her when she's in the crowd," Aaron said as he ended the event. "Your moms ought to feel embarrassed about themselves. Everyone around you ought to be beating you down," he added. Lewis then turned to the audience and said, "If I ever see that again, I will point you out in the crowd and have everyone around you beat your ass." Lewis may be a bit erratic these days, but we're always here to support him when he stands up for his supporters. 16. Architects. Although mosh pits can be hazardous, sexual assault should never be a concern for anyone. Sam Carter, the singer of Architects, ensured that at a performance in the Netherlands. Carter stopped the performance to confront a rude person who had chosen to approach a fellow fan close to the front of the stage, stating, "I'm debating whether or not I should say something. He noticed a group of girls surfing over here, and while he didn't name the person who did it, he did witness you grabbing at her chest, which is repulsive. That has no place here." Sam deserves praise for calling out repulsive behavior when he sees it. He responded, "If you feel like doing that again, walk out there and don't come back," even though the audience had already applauded. For those who don't know, going to a metal event could appear risky, but sexual assault is never appropriate. 15. Chevelle. At Fort Bragg's Main Post Parade Field, almost 40,000 individuals attended the festivities. When alternative rock group Chevelle hit the stage, things were a little raucous for a few of the audience members. There was the appearance of mosh pits breaking out where people were doing a lot of banging around, and it looked like from the onlookers' perspective and even from some of the MPs that there was a fight going on, Public Affairs Officer Colonel Kevin Arata said. There is a video on YouTube that shows law enforcers attempting to disperse the mosh pit as the rock band is performing. Frontman Peter Loeffler tried to calm down the security guard and explain that being physically aggressive at a rock concert isn't always violent, stopping his performance to tend to the fan. "Dude, they're just having fun. Really?" asked Loeffler. The footage appears to indicate that MPs sort of stepped back and let the mosh pit continue after two people were hauled out. According to investigators, the MP's genuine worry at the family-friendly event is not depicted in the YouTube video. People were flailing around in their midst, and some tiny children that were up there were being pushed up against these railings within this mosh pit, and they believed that this was a risky circumstance. They wondered how they were going to put an end to it. After being held for a few hours, the two people were freed. Charges were not brought. 14. My Chemical Romance. Rock musicians are getting more and more aware of the current state of their listeners. A fan of My Chemical Romance posted a TikTok video of frontman Gerard Way warning the audience to exercise caution when they perform Welcome to the Black Parade. Commenters on the TikTok have stated that the gig in question happened on May 27 at Victoria Park in Warrington, England. Black Parade is the 8th song that the band played that evening, according to setlist.fm. On one of the monitors by the side of the stage, Way can be seen singing along to Black Parade in the video clip. The crowd was going crazy during Welcome to the Black Parade, and he wasn't having it, according to the caption. Furthermore, as said in the TikTok, Gerard being a rock star and a dad at the same time. Wait for it. Way began yelling, "Be careful over there," multiple times as soon as the clip began, pointing to the audience. Many TikTokers remarked that Way has urged the audience to move back a few steps during gigs throughout Europe, including Glasgow, where someone reportedly passed out. Someone specifically mentioned that attendees at the Warrington show were being forced up against the barrier. Shows just how easy it is to say something or to stop a crowd. Just how easy it is to care, one user wrote. He was saying in Cardiff, if someone falls down, pick them up and get us to shuffle 3 steps back. It was awesome how he was so concerned and conscious, added another. 13. Megadeth. Frontman Dave Mustaine of Megadeth halted the band's performance midway through Symphony of Destruction due to his security guard, who he claimed had harassed a fan. The incident happened at Bloomington, Illinois' Grosinger Motors Arena on September 27. After speaking with security, Mustaine can be seen leaving the stage to speak with the audience over the microphone. I'm not gonna play anymore until those guys are escorted out of the building, so just hang on a second. That was so unnecessary, Mustaine stated. You're supposed to make, what's on the back of your shirt? Safety? It should say no safety, because you guys are punks and you shouldn't have hit that guy. 4 of you on one guy. Get him out of here or I'm leaving. I don't want to hear that they're in the back. I want them out of here. After dismissing the crew, Mustaine continued saying, "These wrecked my song. Sorry, that stuff just makes me so mad. I hate bullies. I hate bullies." 12. Linkin Park. Hardcore nu metal, which can be extremely intense for some fans, is typically what comes to mind when people think of Linkin Park. They fail to notice that the Concertgoers were always safeguarded thanks to the leadership of lead singers Mike Shinoda and Chester Bennington, who sadly passed away in 2017. When Shinoda saw a fan fall during the band's performance of Paper Cut at Docklands Arena in London in 2001, the lead vocalist stopped mid-riff to assist others who had fallen in the mosh pit rather than continuing the song. Just before the song's bridge, Shinoda jumps up on a stage and orders his band to stop performing. "We're having a small issue right now," Bennington says, cutting him off with, "Pick them up right now." By expressing regret and assuring the assembly, "We really have to look out for safety first," Shinoda clears up any misunderstandings. Nobody is harmed. "If you guys get up and if you people are okay, we'll play this whole song again." Bennington continues, "We know we've been worrying all night about being cool, and this is the reason why. Watch yourselves." He begins a chant in which he asks, "What do you do if somebody falls?" before returning to the music, to which the assembly replies, "Pick them up." 11. Slipknot. While Corey Taylor became well known for pioneering that style of singing, Slipknot gained notoriety around the turn of the millennium with a sound that was brutally harsh. However, Taylor is a more complex person than you might imagine. You'll be surprised by his performance on an acoustic rendition of Snuff if all you've heard him sing is the loud, violent style for which he is most known. It undoubtedly reveals a different aspect of the musician than what is usually shown in Slipknot songs. Because of the nature of their music, Slipknot is another band you wouldn't expect to reach out to their followers. Lead singer Corey Taylor saw that the audience was growing close as he prepared to begin a song in 2019. The lead vocalist doesn't give up on his requests, making everyone take a few steps back before the song even begins. He says, "We are all here together. This might not seem like much, but at a concert it's a tiny gesture that can make a big difference for many others." Many fans rush forward in an attempt to obtain a good view of the main act when they go on stage. Before beginning yet another intense Slipknot song, Taylor checked to make sure his supporters were safe. This is simply one little safety measure lead singers can implement at their concerts. 10. Radiohead. Tom York of Radiohead is frequently seen on stage looking completely engrossed in his performance, closing his eyes and twitching his body as though he were in a profound trance. On stage in Toronto in 2003, he was singing a band song called Myxomatosis when he noticed someone was getting sick. York questioned the audience about what was going on and immediately urged the band to stop performing. Then, in order to bring the person to safety, he instructed to call for security and an ambulance. Then, a lifeless body was removed from the crowd, and shortly after that, York and the band resumed their performance. After waiting in line to enter the pit during the event, the fan was dehydrated. It was first come, first served at the pit. The fan said in a Reddit AMA that Far Out magazine reported that they stood in line for almost 6 hours. He lit a joint with his friend as soon as they were inside. They were excited when the concert began. They were unaware that the concert was actually a serious light show. They must have passed out for the first time due to a combination of strobe lights, thirst, and pot. The worst part was that Radiohead was playing Paranoid Android when they woke up on a table by the side of the pit. What a night that was for that fan, oh boy. 9. Green Day. Billy Joe Armstrong, the frontman of Green Day, has always been an advocate for the voiceless. The musician demonstrated in 1997 at a show at the Fillmore in San Francisco that he is not hesitant to confront injustice or, when the situation demands it, to administer a vicious dropkick. Armstrong has won over Green Day fans over the years with a number of selfless actions taken during live performances. In 2016, for example, he brought a disabled fan on stage to perform Knowledge with the band at London's O2 Arena, and at the conclusion of the show, he gave the fan his guitar. That doesn't, however, compare to his valiant adventure in San Francisco in the 1990s. Over the course of the concert, which was arranged to benefit Nimrod, Armstrong had begun to observe disturbing behavior toward a young defenseless girl by a man fan sporting a mohawk. The frontman of Green Day chastised the individual and then made the decision to act alone, refusing to let security handle things. Armstrong stepped up to the microphone and yelled, "Hey, why don't you come here?" after stopping the music. "Do you want to engage in combat? I'll start fighting you now. Get up here on the stage, please." After the terrified admirer turned down Armstrong's invitation to engage in combat on stage, the Green Day singer went into the audience and began beating people up. The audience applauded bassist Mike Dirnt's statement, "Sorry, but these people didn't come here to put up with your shit," after justice had been given. Not all musicians have reached their breaking point and lost their cool like Armstrong did. During a Rolling Stones performance of Satisfaction in 1981, Keith Richards saw a fan running onto the stage. The guitarist skillfully defended himself by brandishing his Telecaster. Henry Rollins of Black Flag, meanwhile, reportedly threw a long list of blows at a fan for robbing him of his microphone. 8. Foo Fighters. Following the tragedy at Astroworld, a video featuring prominent artist Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters managing a similar crowd situation with poise and compassion went viral. The Foo Fighters event happened in the year 2018. Part of the reason it went viral on Twitter after the events in Houston was that it showed how Grohl took charge of the situation, utilizing his microphone and stage position to put an end to everything. Concerned that the boy and his parents had nowhere to sit, he had noticed a blind and autistic child in the front and directed them to security. Reiterating to the crowd that this was a family occasion, he had moved them to the side of the stage. In 2018, Dave Grohl intervened at a Foo Fighters performance in London after noticing a child who might be in danger. As he stopped strumming his guitar, he remarked, "Hold on 1 second. Does that kid need somewhere to sit? Get that kid a real seat. You've got to take his parents too now. Come on, this is a family occasion. Bring him up on the side right there. I'll sing a song to him." Owen and his parents were reportedly permitted to see the remainder of the performance from the stage, and Grohl even allowed the little admirer to touch his guitar while he performed. Following the performance, Owen's mother, Stacey Anderson, thanked the former Nirvana drummer on Facebook. She also expressed her gratitude to everyone else who had contributed to giving her son an event he would most likely never forget. She wrote, "Our family received amazing kindness from Dave Grohl and the entire crew. Well done, Dave. That's how you support a needy fan." Grohl intervened to break up a fight in the crowd during a 2011 show, so this wasn't the first time he handled a similar issue. View the aforementioned video. 7. Nirvana. One of the greatest and most influential bands in the history of music is Nirvana. Founded in Seattle in 1987, their second album, Nevermind, surprised the music business and completely changed popular culture when it was released in 1991. It was almost entirely responsible for pushing alternative music into the mainstream. Their unique blend of abstract lyrics, punk rock energy, and melancholic, down-tuned rock and roll initially captivated the increasingly disillusioned youth of Generation X, and it still influences and shapes rock music to this day. Lead vocalist of Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, assisted a fan at an Oakland, California concert in 1993. The rock and roll icon saw someone getting intimate with a girl in the crowd while he was in the middle of a song. The leader interrupts the song in the middle of it and tells the man to leave the venue, not to ignore the disrespectful act. Leading the humiliation charge upon returning to the stage, guitarist Cobain exclaimed, "Copping a feel, hey buddy?" Bassist Chris Novoselic responded, "How does it feel, huh?" In response, the rest of the rock band laughs at the creep and gestures, asking the rest of the audience to do the same before he can leave the show. 6. Rage Against the Machine. Activists and outspoken firebrands Rage Against the Machine injected a sobering dose of passionately polemical, politically charged urgency into their explosive Molotov concoction of rap, hardcore punk, funk, and metal to educate masses of heavy music lovers. The band made a splash in 1992 when they released their triple platinum debut, Rage Against the Machine, which courted controversy with its graphic cover of a protesting, self-immolated Buddhist monk. The band had previously broken through the mainstream with Killing in the Name, their sonic protest against systemic racism and police brutality. Zach De La Rocha of Rage Against the Machine interrupted a 1997 gig in Arizona to address a man who had allegedly torn off a woman's clothing. "We've almost had to stop shows all over the country, and I'll tell you why," he stated. "It's because some people think that because they're at a show, because there are women dancing and trying to have a good time, that they have the right to tear their fucking tops off," he explained. De La Rocha continued his statement that women shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable while they're attempting to have fun, as the audience applauded. "Women are forced to live in fear in their schools and in their communities and shouldn't have to come to a Rage Against the Machine show and be afraid of that right there," he stated. "You can't fucking do that. We're gonna stop it if it happens again." 5. Avenged Sevenfold. Most bands wouldn't want to mess up their rhythm when performing their mega hit track during Grass Pop, but the frontman of Avenged Sevenfold, M. Shadows, didn't give a care. In the middle of performing Bat Country, the band's breakthrough hit, the singer interrupted the performance to assist a fan. Shadows says, "Hey, security, someone's really hurt in there. You have to get them out. They're knocked out cold. Artists, take note. This is actually that easy." American heavy metal group Avenged Sevenfold, also known as A7X, was founded in 1999 and is based in Huntington Beach, California. Vocalist M is part of the current lineup for the band. Shadows, lead guitarist Sinister Gates, bassist Johnny Christ, drummer Brooks Wackerman, and rhythm guitarist Zachy Vengeance. Avenged Sevenfold is renowned for its theatrical artwork on album covers and merchandise, in addition to their varied rock style. With their debut album Sounding on the Seventh Trumpet, the band established a metalcore sound, which they mostly carried over into their second album, Waking the Fallen. 4. Panic at the Disco. Becoming knocked down, fainting out, or receiving improper treatment are among the most terrifying things that can happen to a fan. At a Panic show, when a fan experienced a seizure, lead singer Brandon Urie of Panic at the Disco doesn't take any chances in continuing the show. Urie asks the audience to clear out during the band's smash song, "I Write Sins Not Tragedies," during their 2014 House of Blues performance in Boston. Before the young fan is assisted, Urie doesn't bother talking to the others in the group. After providing assistance, he playfully interacts with the crowd before calming them down so the girl may reach safety. The band knows nobody will be harmed at their event, so they resume their hit song after several minutes of uncertainty and delay. 3. Fall Out Boy. Pete Wentz of Fall Out Boy stopped a 2014 Florida show after a fan passed out. "We're going to stop for a second here. Somebody in the front row needs some help," he said through the microphone. "If everyone in the front row could just give them so much room, that would be awesome. Just back up a little bit. We're just going to take a minute here. Then we're going to pick up exactly where we left off. After paramedics had safely removed the woman, Patrick Stump stood in front of the assembly and said, "The coolest and most important thing is that we're all together on this. When somebody goes down, we help them up." 2. Trivium. The frontman of Trivium, Matt Heafy, jumped to the aid of a crowd surfer who was in risk of falling. At the time of the event, Trivium was performing at the Factory at Deep Ellum in Dallas, Texas. When Heafy dropped his guitar and leaped off the stage into the buffer zone to rescue the fan before they struck the ground, he noticed that the crowd surfer was getting close to a barrier in front of the stage. Be sure to watch the video, which was captured from the stage and posted on Twitter by Heafy. He continues, "Don't ever say we don't love our fans. Absent security in that spot, dude almost broke his neck, and I had to jump down and catch him. Whew, Dallas." Heafy later said, "We love our fans. You all supported us and allowed us to do what we love to do in this life. This was an instinctual move. I didn't even have to think twice about it," in response to another tweet regarding the event. The band stopped playing when his fellow members realized what was going on, and bassist Paolo Gregoletto said, "Hey security, you need to go the whole way across and not bunch up in the middle. Our singer's not going to be jumping off the stage to get people tonight." Trivium's Goblins and Wizards tour made stops in the UK, including a few small venues. 1. Iron Maiden. Every short concert goer has experienced having their perspective of the band obscured by someone far taller than them. Bruce Dickinson took action after becoming enraged with a bigger supporter who was mistreating some smaller spectators at the front of the Iron Maiden event. Bruce gives the guy a hard time as the band plays on, telling him, "You are the problem here," and adding, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" Bruce wasn't exactly happy with the way the bouncers were handling things, referring to the bully as the guy that the bouncers are too scared to take on because he's bigger than them, even though security usually handles these kinds of situations. The guy tries to defend himself, saying the girl that he was messing with pinched his arm. Bruce fires back, "If your arm was a little less meaty, she wouldn't have been able to pinch you. Get out of there." No matter if it comes down to a case of, well, he started it, someone like Bruce is damn well gonna finish it and keep kicking ass. So there you have it, the top 20 bands who stopped their shows to help their fans. Which band was your favorite? Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe for more intriguing stories about bands.